Hey, this is Dave from Base Stencil, and I'd like to show you a trick. It's a trick I use when I spray stencils outside, and it helps me to very rapidly put down one layer after another. Now, sometimes you might have a stencil that's like this, that you can spray very quickly and not worry about overspraying, getting the spray off the edge. Like you can tell here I was a little bit liberal, and I might have gone off the edge here a couple of times. But most stencils, when you cut them, you cut pretty close to the edge. Like you cut, you see there's only about a ½ inch on the bottom and a ½ inch on the top here. So when I spray this, if I'm gonna actually hit this top here, I'm gonna go over. The reason that is because if you're cutting on a machine like this one over here, you got this Cricut machine over here, you got a limited width on this thing, or either that or you're cutting or you're paying somebody to cut a stencil and send it to you, and when they send it to you, they don't want to send you a bigger piece than they have to. So usually your stencils are going to be cut pretty close to the edge. That means when you actually go to spray the stencil, when you lay it down and you take your spray and you think, oh no, I've got to mask the surface. So you look around for whatever you can find. So you just, you grab a piece of paper and a piece of cardboard and another piece of cardboard. And by the time you know it, you're like an octopus. You're holding 4 pieces down, plus you're holding the stencil down, plus you're trying to spray. And that just doesn't work so well. One of the reasons it doesn't work so well is because even though you might find those 4 pieces that fit here, look at this, look at the edges here. You're only, from the edge of the stencil, you're only about 3 inches to the edge to where you're going to hit. So you end up hitting these corners too. So I'm going to show you a way to get around that. I'm going to make a stencil masker. So you're going to need 3 things. You're going to need some thick, I call this paper board, and my paper board is about 1/4 to 1/8 inch thick. Can you see that? You're going to need an X-Acto blade, and you're going to need a straight edge to cut with. What we're going to try to make is we're going to make 2 big paperboard L's, and those L's are going to be almost like the mats you see in the frame shop that sit on the edge. Actually, if you can steal a few of those, that's the best thing to do. But suppose you're going to make your own. You got paperboard here, and you're going to cut 2 big paperboard L's that will be able to hold up to the stencil and mask off the edges of the stencil at the same time that they hold the stencil up. Let's see how we measure it out and see how we cut it. My high school geometry is helping me out here to make corners, to make basically I measured off a distance which is about 6 inches, and I'm going to make a cross here that's 6 inches from the side, from each side of this thing, and all I'm doing is kind of using my straight edge here as a compass and measuring that off. So now I've got 4 crosses in each of my 4 corners, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these long like this, and then cut it to here and cut it all the way across. So it's going to be a little bit longer than it is wide. It's going to look like that, and the other one is going to be like this. So I'm going to be left with this piece in the middle. Okay, so I made my first cut. It didn't go all the way through, but that's okay. I'm just going to double down, and I'm going to cut the next one. I'm going to cut it a little bit harder, use a little more pressure, and see if I can get all the way through this time. So this paperboard is a lot thicker and tougher than I thought. So I'm going to end up just kind of sawing through it with this X-Acto blade. But if you had a jigsaw or something, that might work. And if you're going to use a jigsaw, you might as well use particle board to do this. I think particle board would be a really good long-term solution for this type of application. So bear with me while I saw away at this thing. Okay, so an X-Acto blade does not make a great saw, but it does get the job done eventually. And now we've got two L's basically. And what we can do with the two L's is when we get ready to spray a stencil, we can just maneuver these so that they can form just the right opening for the stencil we want to lay down. So we're going to lay down the stencil first on the surface where we want it, and then we'll frame it like that, and like that. And then when we spray, look at how much area we have to overspray. There's no problem. There's no problem here. There's no problem here. You know, I had another thought. If I leave these the way they are, like, they're not going to fit in my bag, because right now this is the bag I used to carry my paints around, and it would basically be the biggest thing in there, and it would stick out the side. I don't really want that. I really want something that I can carry with me that's lightweight. So I have an idea. An idea is, what if I just cut here and put some kind of fabric or something, fabric tape or something that allows me to fold these up so that they just fold flat. So I'm going to just cut. What I'm going to do is cut one more time. I'm going to saw with my X-Acto blade one more time. I'm going to saw these corners, and then hopefully that'll make it easier to fit, and I think it'll make it a lot more usable. Let's try it and see what happens. Yeah, that's all I needed to do was just basically cut it halfway through, and it's going to fold and it's going to hold that really well. So that's a good idea. Let's keep going. So I got two flappy wings here, and let me just make sure that I kind of do this right. The more square you get your corners, and the more precisely you cut it on the diagonal, the more precisely that'll fit. I'm pretty close here, but didn't exactly nail it. If we want both to be to fold down like this, if we want both of them to be pushing down against the surface like that, so when I push like that, they actually push closer, and we've got it right here, because all we need to do is switch this like this, and we've got this like that. Make sure that when you cut this on the diagonal like this, that you look at and make sure that you're cutting the mirror image of the other one. So you want them both to flap this way. You don't want one of them to flap this way and the other one to flap this way. You know what I mean? Okay, that's it. I think this will work. You'll see me using this later on. This is Dave signing off from Stencil.